Well, the wing market this summer has been a bit of a mess, for guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Peyton Watson, both of which were expecting to get paid, but up until this point have not gotten paid. And hell, even apart from them, even though many have gone off the board, many have gotten signed, many have gone to a new...
The NBA free agency chaos has left promising young talent like Peyton Watson without a big deal, a stark departure from typical market expectations. While this situation is undoubtedly tough for Watson, it's paradoxically creating a surprising opening for the Lakers. The league's general unwillingness to spend has dramatically shifted his market, suddenly aligning with what Los Angeles might eventually offer.
So for both Jonathan Kuminga and Peyton Watson, who are trying to get that and have been trying to get that, it's not looking too good. Which for a team like the Lakers, who aren't in the hunt for a big wing yet, definitely in the hunt for Kuminga, would like to be in the hunt for Watson, but probably looking more at the long term with them. They actually got some...
This unexpected good news for the Lakers is a direct consequence of Watson's shrinking market and plummeting price. As other teams shy away from his contract demands, the path to a lucrative long-term deal becomes increasingly unclear for him. This mounting pressure significantly alters his short-term options, forcing a re-evaluation. But how much has his value truly dropped, and what does this mean for his immediate future in Denver?
The market and the price for them is going down. We've talked plenty about Kuminga, there are new reports, and maybe we'll talk about them later, but for Peyton Watson, unfortunately for him, the market is drying up. And up until this point, he has not gotten a good offer. And right now, his current offer from his current team is only a 4-year, $70 million contract, which is barely above the non-taxpayer.
While a $70 million offer might sound substantial, in today's inflated NBA, it barely registers for a player with Watson's perceived potential. This market stagnation has pushed him towards a critical juncture, sacrificing immediate earnings for future flexibility. The qualifying offer, a seemingly drastic step, now appears to be his most viable and strategically sound path forward.
So at this point, and something we've heard about for a couple of weeks now, is that he may take the qualifying offer, which, if you're not familiar with, is a 1-year contract for $6.5 million. Yes, a major discount, a major short-term loss rather than what he could take, but potentially a short-term loss for a long-term gain. And not to mention, more long-term flexibility.
Accepting a qualifying offer would be a strategic gamble, freeing Watson from Denver's restrictive grip, but also putting his immediate financial future on hold. Denver, fully aware of his value, has been unyielding in trade discussions, demanding an exorbitant return. This high asking price from his current team significantly complicates any sign-and-trade scenarios, leaving other interested parties unwilling to negotiate.
Right now, he is currently a restricted free agent, meaning any contract he would get, any sign-and-trade offer he would get, could be matched or would have to be facilitated by Denver, who again, are not playing very easy with him. They're playing hard to get, they're definitely making it difficult, they are not giving him the contract or the situation that he wants, and not only that, but via sign and trade, they're asking for a lot in return.
Denver's stubbornness, demanding an unprotected pick and a quality young player, effectively shut down early negotiations and alienated potential suitors. This aggressive strategy has largely backfired, as rival teams have coordinated their efforts, collectively refusing to meet the steep price. The league's united front against Denver's demands is now isolating Watson's market even further. But who was his most aggressive suitor, and what internal chaos might force their withdrawal?
And now apparently the team that has been going after him the heaviest, Cleveland, might be backing out due to an unresolved situation, due to an unresolved contract with a current free agent on their team, James Harden. According to Jake Fisher, he might be getting fed up with waiting, which I don't entirely blame him for.
James Harden's unresolved contract now hangs heavy over Cleveland's pursuit of Watson. The Cavs' precious cap flexibility for a crucial sign-and-trade hinges entirely on Harden's situation, creating a direct and unavoidable conflict of interest. If they commit to Harden's expected hefty demands, their entire strategy for acquiring Watson, or any other restricted free agent, will instantly collapse.
Probably between like 30 to 40 million per year plus, which at that point would be the end of their first apron space, which again, you do need to be below if you're going to make a sign and trade. So if they would pay Harden, if they would give him that contract, then they can kiss their hopes of either Peyton Watson or Jonathan Kuminga goodbye.
The potential loss of Cleveland as a suitor for Watson is a game changer, not just for Watson, but for the entire market dynamic. They were reportedly the most aggressive team, and their potential withdrawal significantly reduces Watson's bargaining power and available options. This major shift suddenly creates a much clearer path for a franchise that initially seemed completely out of the race.
So if that would happen, and if Cleveland would be taken off the board, that would be great news for the purple and gold, who, like I said, they wanted Peyton Watson, they had a meeting lined up with him for free agency, but following them making the trade for Walker Kessler, giving up their only 2 first-round draft picks that were tradable, pretty much the entirety of their draft capital, they were taken off the board.
The Lakers, despite their initial interest and Peyton Watson's clear LA roots, seemingly removed themselves from contention by exhausting their draft capital in other trades. Yet, fate often has a strange way of intervening in the NBA. Watson's deep personal connection to Los Angeles, where he grew up and played college ball, highlights a powerful, unstated desire to return. Could this personal affinity ultimately override logical market constraints and bring him home?
As you know, Peyton Watson's been around LA. He's met up with Rob Pelinka. They had a very public conversation back at Summer League, but even though there might be mutual interest, even though he might want to come back to the city he grew up in, LA, not to mention where he went to college at UCLA, yes, I think it's pretty evident that he would like to be here. He would like to probably be a Laker, but
Watson's desire to be a Laker is evident, but the team's current asset limitations make an immediate deal virtually impossible. This strategic stalemate forces the Lakers to offer an indirect pathway, essentially advising Watson to take a short-term, low-cost qualifying offer. This bold recommendation from a potential future team reveals the sophisticated long game at play. What would this crucial step mean for Watson's contractual status next season?
if they have told him anything, it's that, hey, if you want to come here eventually, you should take the qualifying offer. Take the 1-year contract. That way we could get back in the mix for you at either the trade deadline, we can make a trade for you, or maybe next summer when we have more flexibility, more draft capital, and more
The qualifying offer strategy isn't just about gaining flexibility. It's about fundamentally resetting Watson's market entirely. This singular move would transform him from a restricted free agent, tightly controlled by Denver, into a highly coveted unrestricted free agent next summer. This shift in status would unlock multiple strategic avenues for the Lakers, giving them far greater control over their future pursuit.
Both Milwaukee and the Atlanta Hawks might be out too, which could be a possibility due to the luxury tax, as they're both pushing it. For Atlanta, they are currently $3.8 million below the luxury tax, and if they would take back Peyton Watson, obviously they would be way above it. And then for Milwaukee, they are currently $8.1 million.
The luxury tax implications for teams like Atlanta and Milwaukee are proving to be insurmountable hurdles, effectively taking them out of the running. No contender wants to risk triggering the repeater tax for a player who isn't a guaranteed immediate superstar impact. This intense financial pressure, combined with Denver's unwavering high asking price, effectively removes more major players from the bidding war.
They may have the trade assets, they may have the optionality to do it, but it's all about if they actually want to make that problem, actually cross that hurdle to get Peyton Watson, go into the luxury tax, give up their trade assets, and give up what Denver would demand in return to make that sign and trade.
The collective hesitation and financial hurdles from multiple teams have cornered Watson, leaving him in a precarious and undesirable position. He currently lacks true control over his destiny, a common plague for restricted free agents whose markets fail to materialize. His only escape from this no-man's land appears to be a bold, almost desperate, individual move.
So right now, Peyton Watson is right where the Lakers want him to be. You know, again, unfortunately for him, kind of in no man's land. He has no control, he is a restricted free agent, he can't take another deal without Denver matching it, he might have to take the 1-year qualifying offer to gain his own flexibility, to gain back his leverage, and therefore be in control of his own destiny and his own future.
Taking the qualifying offer isn't just a tactical financial move. It's a powerful declaration of intent. If Watson is truly unhappy with Denver's handling of his contract and their perceived lack of belief, this could force an ugly divorce. This public dissatisfaction, coupled with his impending unrestricted free agency, would drastically alter Denver's calculus.
If he is making it very clear and evident that he's not going to come back to Denver, following them not working with him, not giving him the contract that he wants, and showing that they did not believe in him, I would hope that would lead to an ugly divorce, forcing them to trade him rather than losing him for nothing come free agent time.
This forced trade scenario becomes even more attractive for the Lakers as they accumulate more tradable assets and gain a clearer vision of their team's needs by the trade deadline. Waiting allows them to meticulously evaluate Watson's performance, ensuring he's not just showing flashes of brilliance, but proving to be a consistent impact player.
So at that point, with the Lakers having a little bit more trade assets at that point, having a better picture of their team and what they may or may not need, and then even more evidence and more kind of things to point to with Peyton Watson, how he would look on the court, if he can carry over what he did this season. Was it purely flashes, or was it a real thing? Was it truly a breakout? There's a lot to like there. Having more time to think about it.
While a trade deadline acquisition is certainly enticing, an even more direct route opens up next summer if Watson truly prioritizes joining the Lakers. They strategically positioned themselves to have a specific financial tool available for that exact scenario. This pre-planned maneuver could bypass complex trade negotiations entirely, offering a streamlined and appealing pathway to bring him home without giving up current assets,
which they have coincidentally lined themselves up for to be able to have next summer. No, it's maybe not the money he wants, but it would be an option. If he really wants to be here, if he wants to be a Laker, he could take a one-year contract at roughly $6.5 million per year, right around the amount it'll be worth. Or if you'd want to, take it all the way up to a 4-year contract. I really doubt it, but they would have that to offer.
The path through creating significant cap space, though theoretically possible, is an arduous and highly unlikely route for the Lakers given their current roster. It would require dismantling much of their established team and sacrificing future flexibility, a move they are clearly unwilling to make. The more pragmatic and strategic approach, leveraging the qualifying offer and the non-tax MLE, offers a much clearer, less destructive pathway to acquire in Watson.
If you take the qualifying offer, the Lakers would be back on the table, either for a trade, either via the open market, and simply have a pathway to getting Peyton Watson, which they don't really have right now. I'd love to say they do, but that's kind of wishful thinking. And maybe not even wishful thinking, but not a trade that you really want to make. As I don't want to trade Cameron Carr, I don't want to trade that contract, don't want to trade that team control.
The pieces are steadily falling into place. A stalled market, rival teams facing internal crises, and Watson's growing desire for control over his career. The qualifying offer now becomes the pivotal key that unlocks the Lakers' future pursuit. While the wait may feel frustrating for fans, every new report reinforces the idea that patience and strategic planning could lead to a monumental acquisition for the purple and gold.
But hey, that's what we currently know and what the new reports are saying about him, why he might have to and may even want to take the qualifying offer, following the reports and following Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Atlanta maybe being out or kind of leaning in that direction due to either an internal problem, whether it be the luxury tax or having to pay a guy like James Harden. They're dealing with their own problems. And between what they would
This confluence of events, market disinterest, rival team complications, and Denver's demands, is funneling Watson toward a decision that ultimately benefits the Lakers. The long-term approach is difficult, requiring patience and faith in the process, but the current trajectory is undeniable. If these trends continue, the Lakers might just land their coveted wing without making any immediate sacrifices. The stage is set for a dramatic turn of events. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. There is a practical consequence here. One side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. This clip only works if we slow it down. The wording is careful, but the timing says more than the quote. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. There is a practical consequence here. One side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. This clip only works if we slow it down. The wording is careful, but the timing says more than the quote. This clip only works if we slow it down. The wording is careful, but the timing says more than the quote. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. There is a practical consequence here. One side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. This clip only works if we slow it down. The wording is careful, but the timing says more than the quote. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. This is where the story turns from opinion into pressure. The next clip shows who actually has to respond. This clip only works if we slow it down. The wording is careful, but the timing says more than the quote. The useful detail is what was left unsaid. That gap is why the next moment matters. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. The important part is not the soundbite itself. It is the pressure it creates for the next decision. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds. There is a practical consequence here. One's side gets more leverage, and the next answer shows whether that leverage holds.